Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
It was June 2025. News came suddenly. The United States military attacked important places in Iran. These were sites where Iran worked on its nuclear program. President Donald Trump ordered this attack. He spoke to the country about the military action. He said the main goal was to stop Iran from making nuclear weapons. President Trump stated that the attack was a big success. He claimed the nuclear sites were destroyed. Before this, the Middle East was already very tense. For about 12 days, Iran and Israel were in conflict. They were sending missiles and drones at each other. Iran had fired rockets towards Israel. Israel had attacked many places in Iran. The United States attack on Iran's nuclear sites happened during this time. It made the dangerous situation in the region even worse. Many people felt worried about the future after the sudden strikes on Iran. 2. The big attack. The military action happened on June 21, 2025. The U.S. military called this action Operation Midnight Hammer. The goal was to stop Iran's nuclear program. The attack targeted 3 important nuclear sites in Iran. These places were called Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. The U.S. military used different types of weapons. They used special planes that are hard to see on radar, called stealth bombers. They also used missiles launched from ships or submarines called Tomahawk missiles. To hit strong buildings and places deep underground, they used very big bombs called bunker buster bombs. The nuclear sites, especially Fordow, had strong defenses. The military had to use these special bombs to reach the underground parts. For example, Tomahawk missiles were used against sites at Natanz and Isfahan. Fordow, which was very deep underground, was hit by 6 very heavy bombs from B-2 stealth planes. The United States government said the attack was a big success. They said they hit all the planned targets. President Donald Trump said that Iran's main nuclear sites were completely destroyed. He used the word obliterated to describe the damage. The Pentagon also reported that the strikes were successful and all targets were hit. However, the U.S. government did not quickly share full details about the damage or if people were hurt or died. Iran's government said their sites were hit. Iranian news reported that machines and equipment were badly damaged. But Iran said that the U.S. claims of total destruction were not true. They said the damage was less severe than the U.S. government claimed. Later, pictures taken from space became public. These satellite photos showed big holes in the ground at each of the targeted sites. People who study these things said the holes showed that the attack was powerful. But they also said the pictures suggested the damage might not have been as complete as President Trump said. 3. What the world said. After the attack, People all over the world talked about it. In America, the government spoke. The National Security Council said on the Internet that U.S. soldiers hit places in Iran. They said President Trump did this to keep America safe. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also talked. He said the U.S. was ready for peace with Iran. But he also said Iran was weak if they wanted to fight more. President Trump spoke on television. He said the attack was a big success for the military. He said the nuclear places in Iran were completely broken. But Iran's government was very angry. They said the attack was wrong and against the law for countries. Iran's foreign minister said the United States did something very bad. He warned the United Nations and other countries to see this dangerous action. He said Iran would fight back to protect itself. Soon after the U.S. strikes, Iran sent missiles. The missiles went towards American soldiers in nearby countries, like Qatar. Some missiles hit an airbase in Qatar. American officials said no U.S. soldiers were hurt. Iran's military later said they fought back in a fair way because the U.S. had broken their nuclear places. Other countries and important people around the world also spoke. The leader of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, was very worried. He said the U.S. action was dangerous and could hurt peace in the world. In the United Kingdom, the Prime Minister said he understood why people worried about Iran's nuclear plans. But he asked Iran to talk instead of fight. He said keeping the region calm was most important. The countries in the European Union also asked for people to be careful and talk. Russia said the U.S. attacks did not stop Iran's nuclear work much. One official from Russia even said Iran might look for nuclear weapons from friends if they felt in danger. 4. Leaders disagree in America. After the United States military strikes in June 2025, leaders in Washington, D.C. spoke about the action. People had very different ideas about what President Donald Trump did. The Republican leaders in Washington liked the president's decision. They said it was good. The leader of the House of Representatives, Speaker Mike Johnson, said the strikes were necessary. He meant they were needed for America's safety. Other Republican senators also supported the president. They said he had the right to protect the country. But the Democratic leaders in Congress did not like the action. They all said it was a bad idea. They thought it was dangerous and not careful. The Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, spoke strongly. He said President Trump did not tell the truth to the country about his plans. He also said the president did not ask Congress for permission before using military force. Democrats said this action was risky. They said it could start a bigger war. They believed President Trump should have talked to Congress first. They felt the president acted alone and put America in danger. So in America, leaders in different political groups had very different opinions about the strikes on Iran. Republicans said it was the right thing to do to keep America safe. Democrats said it was a dangerous move done without following the rules, and it could lead to serious problems. 5. Rules for fighting. After the attack, people started asking questions about the law. In the United States, rules about fighting wars are in the country's main law book, the Constitution. The Constitution gives power for war to two parts of the government, the President and Congress. One part, called Article 2, says the President is the Commander-in-Chief. This means the President is the boss of the Army, Navy, and other military forces. He can tell the military what to do. Another part, called Article 1, gives a special power only to Congress. It says Congress has the power to declare war. This means only Congress can officially start a war against another country. This sounds simple, but for many years, presidents have sent soldiers to fight without Congress officially declaring war. There is also a law from 1973 called the War Powers Resolution. This law was made to give Congress more power over when the country uses military force. The law says that if the president sends troops into fighting, he must tell Congress in 48 hours. Also, the troops cannot stay in fighting for more than 60 days unless Congress says it is okay or declares war. The law wanted to stop presidents from starting long fights alone. So, after President Donald Trump ordered the strikes, people asked, did he follow these rules? Some people said President Trump used his power as Commander-in-Chief, which is in Article 2 of the Constitution. They said he needed to act fast to protect the country. But others said he did not follow the law. They pointed to Article 1, saying only Congress can decide to start a big military action like this. They also said he did not follow the War Powers Resolution correctly because he did not get Congress's permission for the strikes to continue for a long time, if needed. They argued that bombing important sites in another country is a big action, like starting a war, and the president should have asked Congress first. This created a big discussion. Was the president allowed by law to order the strikes without Congress? This question about who has the power to start fights is old in America, but it became very important again after the strikes in June 2025. People needed to understand the rules to know if the president's action was legal. 6. Old wars, new questions. The White House did not make a public statement explaining the legal reason for the strikes. However, it was widely believed that officials would rely on the powers given to the president in the Constitution. This is mainly found in Article 2, which names the president as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. A broad reading of this part of the Constitution suggests that the president has the power to use military force to protect the country's interests without getting specific permission from Congress first. Looking back at history, many presidents have ordered military actions overseas without a formal declaration of war or a new law from Congress. For example, presidents have sent troops or launched strikes in places like Haiti, Bosnia, Afghanistan, and Libya, often citing their authority as commander-in-chief. Legal experts like John Bellinger, who worked for the State Department, support this view. Bellinger has written that Article 2 gives the president broad authority to use force not only to directly defend the country, but also to help the nation's security interests, even if Congress has not declared war. However, many people, including members of Congress, strongly disagreed. They pointed to Article 1 of the Constitution, which gives Congress the power to declare war. They argued that this specific power for Congress means the president cannot start a major military conflict alone. This division of power was created by the people who wrote the Constitution to ensure that one person does not have complete control over sending the country to war. The government's own legal office, the Office of Legal Counsel, OLC, has given opinions on this matter over the years. The OLC has suggested that if a military action becomes substantial and prolonged, meaning it involves significant fighting over a long time, or if it puts American soldiers or citizens in serious danger, then Congress's approval under Article 1 is likely needed. So, a key question in the debate was whether the strikes on Iran were just a quick, limited action, or if they were substantial and prolonged enough to require Congress's say. Since World War II, no president has asked Congress for a formal declaration of war under Article 1. Instead, Congress has sometimes passed specific laws called authorizations for use of military force. These AUMFs allow the president to use military force for particular reasons, like the AUMF passed in 2001 against Al-Qaeda, or the one in 2002 for the war in Iraq. Critics of President Trump's action noted that there was no existing AUMF that specifically allowed attacking Iran's nuclear program. Another important point of debate was whether Iran truly posed an immediate threat to the United States that would justify a quick, unilateral strike. Just a few months before the attack, in March, U.S. intelligence agencies had reported that Iran was not actively working to build a nuclear weapon. This led some lawmakers and experts to question if the situation was so urgent that the president had to act immediately without consulting Congress. Legal experts also considered rules under international law. The UN Charter, which is a main international agreement, says that using force against another country is only allowed if a country is defending itself from an attack, or if the UN Security Council gives permission. Iran had not attacked the United States. The Trump administration might argue that it was acting in collective self-defense to help Israel, a close ally, because Iran had launched missiles at Israel. But this legal argument is complicated. It also depends on whether Israel's own actions against Iran were seen as legal by other countries. Historically, some countries have strongly criticized surprise attacks on nuclear sites in other nations, like past strikes on sites in Iraq and Syria. In summary, the legal arguments for the administration's actions likely focused on the president's broad power as commander-in-chief under Article 2 and the idea that he must be able to act quickly to protect national security. The arguments against the actions stressed the importance of Congress's power to declare war under Article 1, the rules in the War Powers Resolution of 1973, and the question of whether Iran was an imminent threat to the United States. There was also the question of whether the strikes followed international law, which generally requires self-defense or UN approval for using force against another country. This situation highlighted the difficult questions about presidential power and war that America has faced for many years. 7. Voices of the people. After the strikes, many people spoke out. Important Democrats in the U.S. government were very unhappy. Some said the president broke the rules of the Constitution. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who works in Congress, said the president's choice was bad. She said it was a big problem and maybe the president should lose his job. Another person in Congress, Rashida Tlaib, also said the strike broke the country's main law because Congress did not give permission. Other Democrats felt this way too. Senator Elizabeth Warren said the action could start a big new war. She was worried about the cost in lives and the legal problems. People famous for music and movies also shared their ideas. Ariana Grande, a pop singer, shared what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said online. She agreed that the president's action was a big issue. Other famous people also said they did not like the president's military action. Many fans online used words like insane to describe the strikes. Some people wrote messages like impeach Trump, meaning they wanted the president removed from his job. Some people on TV and in the news talked about these famous people. Megyn Kelly, who was on TV, said that Ariana Grande should not talk about the Constitution. She said singers should keep quiet about serious government issues. Many experts said that removing a president from his job is very hard. It needs a lot of votes in Congress, and the president's party had control of Congress at that time. So saying the president should be removed was more about showing how angry people were. Public opinion was not the same for everyone. Polls showed that people from different political parties felt very differently. Many people who support the president's party supported the strikes. Fewer people who support the other party supported them. Even so, many Democrats wanted Congress to have meetings to ask questions about the strikes. Some young people also showed their feelings. There were protests against the war at universities. Many students said that the president should have followed the law about war powers. People in Congress also started to act. Some Democrats wanted to have votes on the War Powers Resolution. This law says the president must talk to Congress before using the military. Some people in the president's own party had to choose a side. In the news, pictures of Ariana Grande and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez were sometimes shown together. News stories said they were telling the president to follow the rules. This showed that even people not directly in government cared about the laws and the Constitution. Some people thought it was good for famous people to speak out. Others thought they should not. But for many Americans, this debate was about whether any president can start a war alone today. 8. What happens next? The military action in June 2025 against Iran started a big argument in America. President Donald Trump said he needed to order the strikes to keep the country safe. He believed he had the power as the leader of the military. But many others disagreed strongly. They said the president acted illegally. They pointed to U.S. laws that say Congress must agree before the country starts military action. The U.S. Constitution gives Congress the power to decide about war. Another law, the War Powers Resolution from 1973, says the president must tell Congress quickly and get their permission for military actions that last. Critics say President Trump did not follow these rules. They say he tested the system where different parts of the government check each other's power. This event has made people think again about who should decide about war in the U.S. It has started again an old discussion about how much power the president has compared to Congress. Now, people in Congress are deciding what steps to take next. There might be meetings to learn more. Members of Congress may vote on laws about the president's power to use the military. This is an important time for the country's rules and how the president's job is seen by everyone. The future of the country's system of checks and balances is being watched closely by the public. People want to see if the rules will be followed. What do you think? Who should decide when the country uses military force? The president or Congress?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.